I don't think it's about self-control. It's engineered. Every app and social media are engineered to engage you. So the only way, in my opinion, that can help us reclaim our time, reclaim our sanity, or finding some peace among your days, or to be able to focus, is to break away from the ecosystem, break away from the big screen that's designed for us to watch videos, for animation to play perfectly. I think that's our take, and that's why we want to offer a light phone, a different user interface, different user experience to people that's ready to give it a try.
Welcome to Freedom Matters, where we explore the intersection of technology, productivity, and digital well-being. I'm your host, Georgie Powell, and each week I'll be talking to experts in productivity and digital wellness. I'll be asking them 3 questions to get to the heart of what productivity means to them. This week, I'm in conversation with Kaiwei Tang. Kai is the co-founder and CEO of Light, and his Light phone is leading a grassroots revolution against our overconnected digital culture. He believes that the right technology tool can empower us to be our best selves and to appreciate our lives more. Since being founded in 2014, the Light phone has sold to 71 different countries. Light has also been named the 10 most innovative consumer electronics companies in 2020 by Fast Company and the best 100 innovations in 2019 by The Times. The Light phone is designed to respect our time and attention, and Business Insider and USA Today call it a phone to cure our smartphone addiction. Today we'll be hearing more about Light phone and what led Kai to create it, how to determine which tools are essential to going light, and how objects inspire action. Kai, thank you so much for joining us on the Freedom Matters podcast. It's really great to chat to you again after a few years. We're really glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
To kick off, I asked Kai to talk about the story of Light and what led him to create the Light phone.
Yeah, happy to. My background is in design and product development, and I used to design and produce mobile devices for Motorola, Nokia, BlackBerry, so on and so forth. And I think 6 years ago, in 2014, I quit my job and joined this incubator that Google started for designers. Google invited 15 designers to be in Manhattan, and the whole hypothesis is that they want designers to be on a founding table so that design is part of fundamental of the company, which I agree wholeheartedly. And long story short, in the incubator, we met with all kinds of VCs, successful startup, investors talking about how they value startup, how they value product. And pretty soon I realized that, making another app is probably the last thing the society needed from me, just because, we heard so many people talking about this metrics, this KPI of how much time, how much data the company collected, or how much time a user spent in your app, and that's why you're successful. And the millions of apps or social media are doing the same thing to try to keep us hooked in their products so they can make more money. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with the business model. That's how companies make money. What seems so unfair is that all this money, all this resource are put into engineering a system that makes sure we spend as much time as we can in an app, in a social media, and try to engage us through any way possible, right? Your data, your profile being sorted, being categorized into different group, and then sell it to different advertisers. It just seemed so wrong to me at the time, and everyone's doing the same thing. So I think that's when me and my co-founder, Joe Hollier, we both decided that we wanted to create something completely opposite, right? Because as a designer, when your objective is to keep people hooked, you will try anything you can to design a flying color, to make sure the wheels are spinning, to make sure there's animation so there's no downtime, right? So it just seems really unfair. And that's why we created this brand light, and light phone is our first product. I'm not trying to compete with smartphone. What I'm trying to say is that we all have different shoes, different clothes for different occasions, right? There was this moment I realized that I was in vacation. I was sitting on the beach, I was trying to relax, and I have my smartphone with me because it's a phone. What are you going to do, right? So you have it with you, you try to relax, and this text message or email come through. The client asks for something that you can't do anything about at that moment, but it ruins your day. You can't stop thinking about it. It basically ruined the vacation. And I think that was the moment I was like, oh, wow, why do I have to have this mini computer with me 24/7? Why can't I just have the tools that I needed without the distraction, without the underlying motivation from every company that's trying to steal my attention away? So that fit into why we start a company. The tools, the app in your smartphones are great. The tools that help us get our task finished ASAP so you can get back to your life. I always use this analogy that all this app, all the tools supposed to be designed like hammer, screwdriver, right? You use it when you need it and you put it back and it's disappeared. You don't use your hammer and swipe your hammer for 2 hours. And that's what we're doing right now. And that just seems so unnatural and not human. And that's why we start a company and start a light phone. We have this tagline promoting light phone as to be used as little as possible. Right? It sounds contradictory to a lot of product, right? I create a product. I don't want you to use it, but that should be the point. Technology should be on the background. It shouldn't be on the foreground, become the focus of your life. Technology should be when you need it, you use it. When you don't need it, it's disappeared. And that's how we design light phone and all the features that pack in the light phone. We want it to be in the background. We want it to be invisible and not take your attention away. But we have done trials with our users really early on. I think this is 2015. We take away people's smartphone and ask them to go out without a smartphone for a couple hours, for a day, and tell us how they feel. And I think 90%, 95% of people come back telling us that that's the best time they have during the day, during the week, because they memorize what's happening. They know who they talk to. They notice the small details on the street. They spoke to strangers that they never, wanted to spoke to in the grocery, waiting in line to check out, and they realize, oh, it's okay for me to just look around for 30 seconds without pulling my smartphone out and swipe. It is okay. So that gives us a lot of encouragement to move forward with light and light phone.
I see your passion. I see the use case. It's just brilliant. I love this idea that technology is there to support us, and so it should disappear when we don't need it and then be there when we do need it. So can you just give a bit of an overview specifically of what the light phone does, but importantly, what it doesn't do?
Yeah, we are on to our second generation of light phone. It's a credit card sized device built with e-ink, e-paper display. It's this Kindle display that only produces black and white grayscale. There's no flying colors, no animations to try to take your attention away. And we want the phone to be portable size. And at the very beginning, when we were designing the phone, we tried to decide what shape makes sense, what size makes sense. And the inspiration we had was, okay, what are the things that we carry with us 24/7 all the time, and you don't even feel like you have them with you? And the answer is our credit card, our ID cards, right? So you always have them with us, and it fit into your hands perfectly. It doesn't seem like a burden. It's not like 10-inch screen to try to fit into your pocket right now. So that's how we decide the size of the phone, and we opt in to use the e-ink display because I feel like there's no blue light, there's no shining color. So it helps to calm you down, not trying to feed you dopamine so that you get excited about your phone. And that's reflecting on our user experience too, because right now we've been shipping tens of thousands of iPhone to a lot of people. And a lot of people get excited about iPhone too, the idea of being able to take back their time, the idea that they could relax, they could actually focus on doing their things. So when they get the iPhone 2, they're really excited. But then there is this gap that, oh, wow, this is really beautiful, but there's nothing I need to do on the phone. There's no social media, there's no game, there's no exciting news popping out every other minute. And that's kind of the point. I don't think it's about self-control. It's engineered. Every app and social media are engineered to engage you. So the only way, in my opinion, that could help us reclaim our time, reclaim our sanity, or finding some peace among your days, or to be able to focus, is to break away from the ecosystem, break away from the big screen that's designed for us to watch videos, for animation to play perfectly, right? So I think that's our take, and that's why we want to offer iPhone, a different user interface, different user experience to people that's ready to give it a try.
A large part of Kai's focus is on developing the right toolkit for light. Users are demanding more and more to make it seem smarter, and deciding where to draw the line results in some big decisions.
Our focus right now is to get as many utility tools as we can on iPhone 2 so that a lot more people feel comfortable to use it. Like so many comments and emails coming to us asking that, hey, can you add calendar?
You have calendar, use your laptop.
Right? If you have calendar, I'm in. And Kai, if you have Uber, I'm in. I just need Uber and text message. That's all I need. We've been hearing from our user asking for this one more thing, two more things, and they were ready to jump in. And I guess that's why we also feel more comfortable launching utility tool, as long as those tools fit into the criteria that we have. Criteria are, number one, there's no advertisement in any of our tool. Number two, there's no infinite unlimited feeds. So no browsing, no discovering, no swiping, right? Number three, every action that user take ends, meaning you get a direction from A to B, this action ends. There's no unlimited temptation.
So no WhatsApp then?
So WhatsApp is something that we debate pretty heavily. I think that's also bring up an interesting question that what's essential? Right? Your essential might not be my essential. My essential might not be someone else's essential. And that's the most exciting conversation we had with our users or potential users. And we want to understand, okay, well, what makes sense to you? And WhatsApp is something that we debate really heavily internally, because right now it's acting like a text message to a lot of people. It's an essential communication tool, right? At the same time, you could argue you keep getting WhatsApp message that's distracting you. So it's a debate that we haven't decided the specific direction yet.
So what it's worth, Kai, I would not put WhatsApp on your light phone. That would be a massive turn off for me going light.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I also hear on the other side, a lot of people saying that, hey, Kai, if you have WhatsApp, this will be my primary phone. I don't need social media. So the dilemma for us is like, okay, if I have WhatsApp and 10 million people break away from social media, is that worth it?
Yeah, interesting.
Is that a trade-off that we're willing to take? And I'll give you another example, music. we have music tool in iPhone to toolbox right now, and you could argue music is entertainment. Music have unlimited feeds that you could browsing, you could discover. Why do you have music? Our solution is that we design music tools differently, meaning that you could create a playlist that you intentionally created to help you focus, to help you calm down. So there's no discovering, there's no browsing on your smart iPhone 2.
It's really interesting because we just had a conversation with Kevin Roos, and he was talking about how he wants to put decision making back into a lot of his technology use. And one of his examples was creating his own playlists again, because the decisions haven't been made for him. Music is a utility, but you are giving your users full autonomy in deciding what music they want to add to their playlist.
Yeah. And when you think through like the mixtape, right? When you think through the music you want to listen to, that playlist becomes so much more inspirational, becomes so much more personal to you.
Kai doesn't just wrestle with WhatsApp and music. There's email too to consider, or camera, something which they have decided to include for photos to treasure, not photos to share. These decisions are exciting for a designer like Kai. But back in 2014, when Kai stepped down from a globally renowned incubator and said that he didn't want to design just another addictive app, how was this received by his fellow creators? When you, as you know, in this design group and this incubator, sort of stepped away and said, hang on a minute, I'm not going to sit here with you guys and design apps that are engineered to keep people hooked. How was that received amongst other designers in your field?
Oh, I mean, designers realize our intention, but I think the interesting feedback we've been getting is from, because we're pitching the idea to investors, to VC, to Google, to other entrepreneurs as well. And the feedback at the time in 2014 is extremely polarized. You know, like there are a group of people think, oh, wow, this gonna change my life, and another group is like, wow, this is such a bullshit. Why do I need that? It's useless. I have my smartphone, it's perfect. We've been learning quite a lot the last 6 years. I think the conversation snowballed, the conversation on social media, on big tech snowballed. I think that's why, you know, we mentioned Apple, Google, Samsung, they all created this screen time app. I think that's why they created a screen time app as a reaction to this backlash.
Yeah, and that was also right? 2018. Apple, yeah, it really took off, right?
Exactly. And Apple decided to, you know, change their advertisement data sharing policy recently too. I think that's a great step.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think it's enough. Because you know how much money they make through the app, through the advertisement, how much money they make through the commission from social media as well. Like, it's a fundamental problem is not being fixed. This is just a temporary reaction.
Yeah.
But I think it's a first step. I'm really glad to see that's happening.
So on Apple, that was my second question, actually, on Apple specifically. Yeah. I was a bit late to the party, but I saw your Dear Tim campaign. Obviously, being in the UK, it wasn't live here. But can you just tell everyone a bit about that? Because it was great. And yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun campaign. When we launched iPhone 2, we know people will benefit from breaking away from the smartphone, but how do we convince them? And we are a small startup. We have limited budget. So at the end of the day, we kind of turn the table around and decide, okay, why don't we just convince one person? You know, why don't I just convince this most important person in mobile phone industry, Tim Cook? And ironically, you know, at the time, this is 2019, he's actually out there talking about, you know, he hates getting 1,000 notifications a day. He actually wants people to use smartphone less. And this is exactly what we are talking about. So we structure a campaign that basically promoting his quote. Like, we bought a bunch of billboard on highways around Apple campus, around, you know, Brooklyn where we are, and writing down what he said. You know, dear team, you said people shouldn't spend that much time on smartphone. We should spend time with our family. We agree. Thank you. Much love, iPhone. You know, and we have different quotes. that he said
And
put on different billboards.
Did you ever hear anything from them? I mean, did you get anything from Apple on it?
No, of course not.
Nah.
Of course not. But I think they definitely noticed that what we're trying to do.
As my final question, I wanted to reflect back on what Kai had said earlier in our conversation, that technology use was way beyond the powers of self-control. This is at odds with arguments from the likes of Nir Eyal, who would argue that we can be indistractable if we have the right mindset. Why was Kai so convinced that bad tech habits are so hard for us to control ourselves?
I'm definitely seeing a lot of research on the opposite side of spectrum, saying that we do have self-control, we do have the power to decide that we'll stop using social media, stop using smartphone without purchasing another device, right? I'm fully on board if people could do that. At the same time, like when I sit on the subway or sitting in a restaurant or in an airport, if you just look up, if you just look around,
it's toxic. Yeah.
right? And the reality is telling us that's just not what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's just too powerful. The dopamine, the behavior that we already have with our smartphone. There are people who could do that. But I think a lot of people need inspiration, need encouragement. Same way that in every religion that we have like object, status, like, like different thing to inspire you to do good. And that's why we have different car that inspire you, take a BMW, enjoy the driving experience. We have a little mini car, electronic car that inspire you to be environmental conscious. In my opinion, as a designer, I know object inspire action. It's just the way it is. The reality is we, as human, we need to be inspired. We love to be encouraged. And I think Lightphone or Going Light is a way for us to encourage people to take a break, a way to encourage customers to recognize there's something wrong. There's something really fundamentally wrong with how we design. We are human beings. We have so many dimensions of how we communicate with people. When I talk to you, I could say no in so many different ways. I could say no in a way that make you really angry. I could say no in a way that you emphasize, you actually okay with it. I think there should be a different way.
We could have talked all day, but it was time to wrap things up with Kai and to say goodbye. Kai, take it easy. We'll talk again, I hope, anyway. But thanks so much for your time. Really great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye, Kai. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on Freedom Matters. If you like what you hear, then subscribe on your favourite platform. And until next time, we wish you happy, healthy, and productive days.